Picture this. You grab a metal pole with both hands and you bend it until it snaps. That was a normal Tuesday for a Neanderthal. So here's an odd question. Why did evolution take away all that power? Why do we now get tired just from climbing one flight of stairs? The real test was never about power. It was about distance. Two humans, two very different bodies. Evolution asked the same question twice. It got two different answers. By the end of this video, you will understand why your ancestors chose endurance over raw power. And you might feel glad about your own wrist. Let's start with the fighter. He's about 180 centimeters tall. He's lean. Every part of his body has one job: hit hard, avoid getting hit, recover fast. Fast enough to do it all again 90 seconds later. But look under his skin. Look at his real skeleton. It's a normal human skeleton. Same wrist bones as yours.
Same knee joints as yours. His body isn't made of anything special. He's just very, very good at using what he has. Now, the Neanderthal. A normal grown man stood about 165 centimeters tall. That's shorter than you think, and much wider than you think, and much more powerful than you think. Here's the part that matters most. His bones were not just a little bigger, they were much denser, packed tighter and harder to break. Picture the hard outer part of a bone. That part decides how much force it takes before it breaks. In a Neanderthal, that part was almost twice as thick in some places. Bone power does not grow at the same speed as bone size. A small rise in size gives a huge rise in power. His arm bone was less like a human arm bone. It was more like a steel bar wrapped in skin. Now, let's talk about a simple idea. It's called torque. Torque just means force. Force multiplied by the length of the lever. A Neanderthal's forearm was short. Short compared to his upper arm. Shorter than yours is. That sounds like a weak point. But a shorter arm with the same muscle power turns with more force, not less. Think of it like this. A short wrench and a long metal bar, both turning the same bolt. The short one turns with more force for the same push. And the marks on his bones where his muscles once joined are so deep and strong that scientists can guess his grip power from them. Some guesses put his grip as strong as or even stronger than the strongest people alive today. Now, here's what this means for your wrist. Your wrist has 8 small bones, odd-shaped tiny bones. They're held together by ligaments. Those ligaments are not much stronger than wet string. This is actually useful. It's why you can thread a needle or turn your hand almost all the way around. But your wrist was never built for a Neanderthal-level grip. If that much force hit your wrist, this would not be a fair fight. It would just be something breaking. Now, let's put them both in the same old valley, at sunset for 30 seconds. Theory is easy, a real fist is not. The fighter starts with a leg kick. Cool, fast, trained for years. It lands hard, right on the Neanderthal's leg. But the Neanderthal just looks down, like nothing much happened, and keeps walking forward. That kick was built to hurt a human bone.
It hit something that isn't built like a human bone, and it just didn't work. They grab each other. This is where the wrist lesson turns real. The fighter grabs an arm. He wants to keep it still. A move that works on every other human he's faced. The Neanderthal grabs back. The denser bone wins. The stronger grip wins. The fighter's wrist bends, like wet string bends under weight. It just gives up its shape. That whole moment is over in under a minute. It was never really a fair fight. It was more like a science lesson, with a shout at the end. So it looks like the Neanderthal wins, easily. But evolution does not hand out prizes, not for a 30-second fight. So let's run the real test, the one nature ran, for 200,000 years. Not one fight, 2 events. Event 1, a 10-second race. First one to reach the rock wins. The Neanderthal wins this every time. Not just because he's more powerful. His heel bone was longer than yours, longer compared to his body size. This gives his foot more push, right at the ankle. Great for one fast, sudden start. Not so great for running a long way. Add his dense, short muscles, and you get a body built for one thing: closing a short gap on an animal, fast, before it can run away. Your fighter, with all his training, loses a fast race. He loses to a man who never once used a treadmill. Event 2, a 20-minute chase. Same two men. But now, the question isn't who is fastest at the very start. It's who's still moving after 18 minutes. And here, things change completely. Your body carries something his body barely has. Millions of sweat glands, all across your skin. They let out heat while you're warm. His body is thicker, heavier, more weight packed under every inch of skin. So his body starts to get too hot the longer this goes on.
Now, add one more thing. A long, bouncy part in your ankle. It gives energy back with every step. Add muscles built to work for hours, not just seconds. Add lungs that can breathe at their own pace, not locked to every step, the way four-legged animals must breathe. Scientists call this the endurance running theory. It's the idea that humans are built to be long-distance hunters. You don't need to be faster than the animal. You just need to still be moving after it can't move anymore.
Here's something nobody tells you about evolution. It is not a fighting match. Nothing is judged by who wins one fight in a valley at sunset. There's only one thing that matters. Who lives long enough to have children, and children's children, and more after that. For about 200,000 years, through hard Ice Age winters across Europe and Asia, the Neanderthals' answer to staying alive was pure, close-range power, thick bones, a crushing grip, and the courage to walk right up to an animal the size of a small truck and finish the fight up close. That plan worked. It worked so well it kept a whole group of humans alive. Alive through weather that would kill you or me in a single week. Don't confuse dying out with losing. For all that time, they were the true winners of their own event. Our plan was different. And honestly, it sounds weaker on paper. Thinner a weaker grip. A body that looks weak standing next to a Neanderthal's. But we could run for hours without getting too hot. We could chase an animal across open land until the heat did the hard work. Work a spear used to do before. Then we could walk up to a tired animal instead of wrestling one that could still fight back. When the Ice Age weather changed and the big, slow animals that rewarded raw power became rare, that one small difference stopped being just an interesting fact. It became the most important thing of all. This wasn't the only reason our group kept going. Their group, in the end, did not. Weather played a part. Food competition played a part. Small numbers played a part. Mixing between the two groups played a part too. But this was one real part of it. And it mattered. So no, this was never really a fight. These were two different bets. Bets placed by our ancestors against the same changing planet. They bet on power, felt in a single moment. We bet on distance, crossed over an entire day. Their bet paid off for 200,000 years. Ours is still paying off today. Billions of humans alive right now, watching this video on a screen, built by hands too weak to bend a metal pole. We lived on because we could run and sweat and keep going. They lived on because they could grab a giant elk by its antlers and break its neck with bare hands. Neither one of us really won that fight in the valley. Evolution just stopped asking that question. And speaking of big animals meeting even bigger animals, next time in the arena, I'm putting a 400-pound silverback gorilla across from a full-grown grizzly bear. A grizzly the size of a small car. And we're going to find out if either one of them has ever cared about personal space. Subscribe if you want to know who's still standing.